took a taxi to my own 21st birthday dinner because the BMW my grandfather had bought me was sitting in my 17-year-old sister's high school parking lot. It had been there for 3 weeks. I had not driven the car since the day I turned 21. My mother had taken the keys off my dresser one Sunday morning while I was at work and given them to Cosima. When I came home that night, my sister was washing the BMW in our parents' driveway with a brand new bucket of soap and a chamois cloth and the kind of smile that 17-year-old girls have when they have just been given something they did not earn. I did not say a word. I went upstairs. I closed my bedroom door. I sat on the edge of my bed for a long time. Then I started planning. 3 weeks later, on a Sunday in mid-March, I took a taxi to Sunday dinner at my parents' house in Sterling Heights, Michigan. The taxi driver was a man named Antonio. He told me about his grandson on the drive. I told him my grandson was 10 months old and learning to walk. He smiled. He charged me $28 for the trip from my apartment to my parents' driveway. I tipped him $40. I walked up the front path. I could smell pot roast through the door. I could hear Cosima's laugh from the dining room. I rang the doorbell because the key my mother had given me when I moved out had been changed without notification 2 months ago. My sister opened the door. She was wearing a sweatshirt I had bought her for Christmas and holding a glass of sparkling water. "Hey, Tobias?" "Hey." She did not say anything about the car. I walked past her into the dining room. My grandfather was already at the table. Augustus Bramwell, 74 years old, 47 years at General Motors before retirement. Hands like sandpaper. A mug of black coffee in front of him. Reading glasses on a chain around his neck. He looked up at me. "Buddy?" "Grandpa." He looked at the front window, at the empty driveway behind me, at the absence of a $120,000 BMW G80 M3 in midnight blue that he had personally written a check for at the Bloomfield Hills BMW dealership 4 weeks earlier. He frowned. "Buddy, why did you come by taxi? What happened to the BMW we gave you for your 21st birthday?" The room went still. My mother walked in from the kitchen carrying a serving platter of roasted carrots. She was wearing a navy dress. Her hair was set. She was smiling the smile she always wore at family dinners, the one designed for the audience, never for me. She set down the platter. "Oh, Dad, Tobias didn't deserve that car. He hasn't been making the best choices lately. So I gave it to Cosima. She has been working so hard at school. Honor roll, 3 AP classes, she earned it." Cosima looked down at her plate. She did not contradict our mother. She had been driving my BMW to her senior prep school for 3 weeks. She had taken pictures of herself with it for her social media. Her friends had been impressed. My father, Daniel Heller, looked up from his plate. His brow furrowed. "Wait, hold on. Lillian, you gave Tobias's car to Cosima." "It was a family asset, Daniel." "It was not a family asset. It was a birthday gift from your father to your son. Your father wrote a personal check for that car. It is in Tobias's name." "Daniel, not at the table." "Yes, at the table, Lillian, because this is the first I'm hearing of this. Cosima, have you been driving Tobias's car?" Cosima looked at her plate harder. My mother put down the carrot serving spoon. Her smile did not change. Her voice got slightly tighter. "Daniel, we will discuss this later. Tobias is fine. He has the bus. He has his friend Chase. He doesn't need a luxury vehicle to do his welding job, honestly." My father set down his fork. "Lillian, that is not your decision." I did not speak. I watched my grandfather. Gus had not said anything since his original question. He had been sitting very still. His coffee mug was on the table in front of him. Both of his hands were flat on the table, on either side of the mug. He was looking at my mother. His face was the kind of face I had only seen twice before in my life. Once, when my grandmother Vivian was in hospice. Once, when he had to put his old hunting dog down in 2014. It was the face of a man who had decided something a long time ago, and was just now letting himself feel the weight of that decision. He spoke quietly. "Lillian, after dinner, you and I are going to have a conversation, on the back porch, the two of us." My mother's smile flickered for the first time. "Dad, I don't think we need to—" "After dinner, Lillian." The way he said it made the room feel cold. I sat down at the table. I picked up a roll. I buttered it. I said nothing. The dinner that followed was the longest 73 minutes of my life. My mother served the pot roast. My father carved at his portion in silence. Cosima asked twice if she could be excused early. My grandfather drank his coffee. I ate the food and I watched everyone. When dinner ended at 7:48 p.m., my grandfather stood up. "Lillian, porch." She followed him out. My father started clearing plates with mechanical precision. Cosima disappeared upstairs. I sat alone at the dining room table. I could see my mother and grandfather through the back window. They were standing on the porch. He was talking, she was listening. Her face went pale, then her jaw tightened, then her eyes went wet. She did not raise her voice once. He did not raise his. But whatever he was saying to her was changing something in her body language second by second. After 11 minutes, my grandfather walked back inside alone. My mother stayed on the porch for another 15 minutes. She did not look at the kitchen window once. Gus sat down next to me on the living room couch. He did not look at me. He looked at his hands. "Buddy, come see me Wednesday night, my place, 7 o'clock. We need to talk about some things." "Okay, Grandpa." He nodded. He stood up. He walked to the front door. He turned back to me. "Buddy, the BMW will be in your driveway by Tuesday morning. Do not ask your mother about it. Do not thank her. Just take the keys when they appear and drive your car. We will discuss the rest on Wednesday." He left. I called a taxi at 9 p.m. and went home to my apartment. The next morning, Tuesday at 7:14 a.m., my BMW was in my driveway with the keys in the cup holder. There was no note. My mother did not call me. I drove to work. My name is Tobias Bramwell. I am 21 years old. I work as a junior welder and fabricator at a small custom metal shop in Macomb County, Michigan. I have worked there since I was 17 years old, when I started as an apprentice. I make $72,000 a year. I own a 2018 Ford Ranger pickup truck that I bought with my own money when I was 19. I share a one-bedroom apartment with a friend from welding school named Chase Riley. I rent the bedroom. He sleeps on a pull-out couch in the living room. I have been saving every paycheck since I was 18 years old. I have $138,000 in savings. That is more money than my mother thinks I have. That is more money than my mother thinks anyone in our family has ever saved at my age. That is one of the reasons she resents me. There are other reasons. I did not know the biggest one yet. I will tell you about my family. My mother is Lillian Bramwell Heller. She is 47 years old. She works as the office manager at an orthopedic surgery practice in Bloomfield Hills. She earns $78,000 a year. Our family lives at a financial level closer to $170,000 a year, which has always struck me as an interesting math problem. My father is Daniel Heller. He is 49. He works as a senior service technician at an HVAC company in Royal Oak. He earns $94,000 a year. He has worked there for 22 years. He is the actual primary breadwinner. He is plain-spoken. He is kind. He has never once in 21 years raised his voice at me. My sister is Cosima. She is 17. She is a junior at a private prep school called Cranbrook. Her tuition is $42,000 a year. My mother pays for it through a special education account. When I was 17, I went to public high school. My grandfather is Gus. He raised my mother as an only child. My grandmother Vivian died of pancreatic cancer in 2019 when I was 15. Gus has lived alone in their brick ranch in Warren, Michigan, ever since. I was born on March 12, 2004. Most things I'm about to tell you, I did not know until last week. When I was 16 years old, I went to apply for a part-time job at a hardware store. They ran a credit check as part of the process. The application came back declined. I had a credit score of 487. I did not have any credit cards. I did not have any loans. I had never applied for credit in my life. I drove home and tried to log into a credit monitoring service to see what was happening. There were 3 credit cards in my name. A Capital One card. Opened in 2014 when I was 10. Maxed out. Charged off. in collections for $4,200. A Discover card, opened in 2016 when I was 12. Active, balance of $11,800. Payments made sporadically. A Bank of America card, opened in 2018 when I was 14. Active, balance of $7,400. 60 days past due. I sat in my bedroom for a long time. I did not know what to do. I considered telling my parents. I considered going to the police. I considered telling a counselor at school. Then I thought about my mother, about her face, her temper, her ability to turn any accusation back on the accuser, and I decided to do nothing for a while. I quietly opened a secured credit card with a $100 limit. I started building my own legitimate credit. I monitored the fraudulent accounts as more appeared over the next 5 years. By the time I turned 21, there had been 6 credit cards opened in my name, 2 personal loans, and a Cadillac Escalade lease. I kept records of all of it. I had a folder in my closet at the apartment. I had 3 years of documented identity theft against me by an unknown party, but I had a strong suspicion who that party was. I just did not have proof. Until Wednesday night, March 19th, 2025. My grandfather's basement. His house in Warren is the same house he and my grandmother bought in 1974. Brick ranch. 1 story. Detached garage. A workshop in the basement that he has used since the 1970s. I had been in that basement maybe 50 times in my life. There was a steel filing cabinet in the corner I had noticed since I was a child. I had never been allowed to open it. He brought me down the stairs. He turned on the overhead lights. The smell of the basement was the same as I remembered. Sawdust, motor oil, old paper, and the faint smell of his pipe tobacco from the years before my grandmother had made him quit. He gestured to a folding chair near the workbench. "Sit down, buddy." I sat down. He went to the steel filing cabinet. He opened the top drawer. It was full. Folders, tabs, hundreds of pages. He pulled out 3 folders. He brought them to the workbench. He sat down on a stool across from me. He did not say anything for a moment. Then he poured both of us coffee from a thermos. Black, bitter, the way he always made it. "Buddy, I'm going to tell you some things. They are going to be hard to hear. But you are 21 years old now. You deserve the truth. I have been waiting 8 years for you to be old enough for this conversation." 8 years? Yes. He opened the first folder. "This folder is your financial documentation. 23 pages. He turned it around so I could see it. The first page was a credit card application from 2012, the Capital One card, the one I had discovered when I was 16. The application date was June 14th, 2012. I was 8 years old that day. The signature on the application was forged in handwriting I recognized. It was my mother's. He turned the page. Discover card application, 2014, forged, mother's hand. Bank of America application, 2016, forged, mother's hand. Cadillac Escalade lease, March of 2017. The lease was for a vehicle she had used as her primary car for 4 years. The lease was in my name. I was 13 years old. Personal loan from a credit union, August 2019 for $22,000. Cosigner, my mother. Primary borrower, me. Balance still outstanding. Page after page. A second credit union loan in 2021 for $12,000. A medical bill in collections from 2018 for an MRI my mother had received but billed under my insurance because mine had a higher coverage limit at the time. I felt the room tilt. "Grandpa, I know. How long have you had this?" "I started building it when you were 13. Your mother came to ask me for $10,000 in cash that summer. She would not tell me what it was for. I did some quiet research. I found the first 3 credit cards in your name. I knew immediately. Why didn't you tell me when I was 13? He looked at me. His eyes were wet. "Because if I told you when you were 13, you would have confronted her. She would have made your life miserable. She would have turned your father against you somehow. She would have isolated you. You would have run away from home or done something worse. I have seen children destroyed by mothers like yours. I needed you to grow up first. I needed you to be old enough to fight back legally. I needed you to have your own income, your own apartment, your own life. So you watched her steal from me for 8 years. I documented her stealing from you for 8 years, every single transaction. I have your credit reports going back to 2012. I have the IRS records of when she filed taxes, claiming you as a dependent, and pocketed the credits. I have her bank statements that I quietly accessed through a private investigator I retained when you were 15. I have everything, Tobias. I was waiting for you. I sat there. I drank some coffee. I looked at my hands. Total damage. Approximately $143,000 in fraudulent debt under your name, plus an additional $80,000 in tax credits and benefits she claimed for herself using your identity. Total, $223,000 stolen from you over 13 years. I stared at the folder. Grandpa, there is more, isn't there? You said 3 folders. He nodded. He pushed the second folder across to me. The second folder was older, yellowed at the edges. The handwriting on the tab was my grandmother Vivian's. She had labeled it before her death. The label said, "For Tobias, when he is old enough." I opened it. The first page was a photograph, black and white, taken from a distance. It showed my mother, younger, maybe 25 years old, standing in a parking lot next to a man I had never seen. The man was tall, brown hair. He had his hand on her arm. She was leaning toward him. She was visibly pregnant. Grandpa, he swallowed. Buddy, the man in this photograph is named Reed Doyle. Your mother had a relationship with him in the spring of 2003 when she was 25 years old. She was engaged to your father at the time. I could not speak. He turned the photograph over. On the back, in my grandmother's handwriting, Lillian and Reed. Detroit, May 2003. She is 6 months pregnant. The next page was a private DNA test report, dated June 2012. It compared DNA samples from Daniel Heller, my father, and an unnamed minor referred to only as subject 8 years old, male. The match probability was 0.00%. Daniel Heller was not my biological father. The page after that was a second DNA test from the same date. Comparing a sample from Reed Doyle, no permission given, sample obtained from a discarded coffee cup, and the same minor. Match probability, 99.97%. I stared at the report. I put it down. I picked up my coffee. I drank some. I put it down. Does Dad know? Daniel does not know. Does Reed Doyle know? He does not know either. He has no idea you exist. How long have you known? 11 years. How? Your mother got worried when you were 8 years old. You were starting to look more and more like Reed and less like Daniel. She paid for a private DNA test in 2012. She told no one, not Daniel, not me, but your grandmother Vivian found the results in your mother's purse one evening when she was helping clean out the car. Vivian and I confronted Lillian privately. Lillian admitted everything. She begged us not to tell Daniel. She was terrified of losing him. She was terrified of the divorce, the social embarrassment, the legal complications. We agreed not to tell Daniel. We did not agree to forgive what she had done. And we agreed, if it ever came out, we would protect you, not her. You should have told Dad. Yes, I should have. That is one of the things I will live with for the rest of my life. But your grandmother did not want to break Daniel's heart. She loved him as if he were her own son. She thought she was protecting him. By the time she got sick in 2018, she begged me to keep the secret. I promised her I would, unless it became impossible. And the BMW last month. The BMW made it impossible. I sat with that. Why? Because what your mother did with that car is the perfect microcosm of what she has been doing to you your whole life. She is taking what is yours and giving it to your sister. And she is doing it in front of all of us, openly, with that smile, daring anyone to challenge her. I watched her at that dinner. I watched the way Cosima looked down at her plate. I watched Daniel's face. I watched you. And I realized that if I did not act, your mother was going to take everything from you, piece by piece, for the rest of your life. The car was just the latest step. There would have been more steps, worse steps. I was quiet for a long time. Grandpa? Yes? What are you proposing? He pushed the third folder across to me. The label said, Plan. I have spent the last 6 months in consultation with an attorney named Booker Faulkner. He specializes in financial fraud cases. We have prepared a 6-month plan. It begins this week. It ends in early September. It will require you to keep doing what you have been doing. Saying nothing, behaving normally, letting your mother believe she has won. For 6 more months. And then we end it. All of it, at one Sunday dinner. We will recover what was stolen. We will expose what she did. We will tell Daniel the truth. And we will find Reed Doyle, if you want to know him. I looked at the folders. I looked at my grandfather. He had been carrying this for over a decade. Grandpa. Yes? Why now? Why this week? Why couldn't you have told me last year? Or 2 years ago? He looked at me directly. Because last year, you did not have your own savings. You did not have your own credit. You did not have your own apartment. You did not have the strength to walk away from your mother if she retaliated by cutting you out of the family. Last year, she could have hurt you in ways you could not yet survive. This year, you can survive whatever she throws at you. This year, you have your own life. That is what I've been waiting for. 8 years. 8 years. I drank the rest of my coffee. I closed the folders. Grandpa. Yes, I'm in. He nodded slowly. Then we begin. The plan had 5 steps. Step 1. Booker Faulkner filed an identity theft complaint with the Federal Trade Commission and the IRS in early April 2025. He simultaneously filed a police report with the Macomb County Sheriff's Department Financial Crimes Division. Step 2. Booker referred the case to Detective Naomi Goldenberg, a 44-year-old financial crimes investigator who had been working white-collar fraud cases for 15 years. She opened an active investigation in late April. She did not contact my mother. She quietly subpoenaed financial records. Step 3. Forensic accountant Russell Arnett conducted a complete audit. By June, he had a 312-page report documenting every fraudulent transaction my mother had executed in my name, plus the additional fraud against the IRS and against my insurance carrier. Step 4. Booker quietly contacted Reed Doyle in late July through a mutual acquaintance, a project manager Reed had once worked with. Reed agreed to a meeting. He learned, in the space of 1 hour, that he had a 21-year-old biological son who had been raised by another man. Reed sat at the meeting in tears for 45 minutes. He asked whether he could meet me. He asked one question over and over. Is he okay? Is he safe? Booker assured him that I was. They scheduled a meeting between Reed and me for late August. Step 5. Daniel, my father, the man who had raised me, the man whose name I had carried for 21 years, needed to be told before everything else became public. This was the hardest meeting. It was held in mid-August at Booker's office, with my grandfather and a counselor named Dr. Charlotte Brower present. I was not in that meeting. I asked my grandfather not to allow me in. I did not want to see my father's face when his life broke open. My grandfather called me afterwards. Buddy, he took it as well as anyone could have. He was angry. He was devastated. But not at you. Never at you. He cried for almost an hour. Then he said one thing. What did he say, Grandpa? He said, Tobias is my son. I do not care what the DNA says. He has been my son for 21 years. He is my son for the rest of his life. I sat in my apartment and I cried for the first time since I was a child. For 6 months, I went about my life. I welded at the shop. I lived in my apartment with Chase. I drove the BMW. I had Sunday dinner at my parents' house every other week. I was civil to my mother. I was warm to my sister. I let nothing slip. My mother believed she had won. The Sunday dinner that ended everything was scheduled for September 7th, 2025. September 7th, 2025, 3 p.m. My parents' house in Sterling Heights. My mother had prepared roast chicken, twice-baked potatoes, green beans almondine, the kind of dinner she made when she wanted to perform domesticity. I arrived at 2:55 p.m. by taxi. My mother frowned when she saw me at the door without my BMW. "Tobias, why did you come by taxi again?" "My car is in the shop, Mom, routine maintenance." "Oh, well, come in." I walked in. My grandfather was already in the living room. He was wearing his good shirt, the blue button-down he wore for funerals and church. Booker Faulkner was sitting next to him. 60-year-old attorney, gray suit, leather briefcase by his feet. My mother stopped in the entry hallway when she saw Booker. "Dad, why is your lawyer at our family dinner?" "He is here for legal matters, Lillian. We can discuss it after we eat." "Legal matters about what?" "After dinner, Lillian." She stared at him for a long moment. She forced a smile. "Okay, well, Booker, can I get you a drink?" "No, ma'am, thank you." The dinner that followed was the most surreal 70 minutes of my life. My father, Daniel, sat across from me. He had known the truth for 3 weeks. He looked at me with an expression I had never seen before, a kind of quiet, fierce love, the kind that does not need to be spoken because it has already been decided. He was not angry. He was patient. He was waiting for what was coming. Cosima was at the end of the table on her phone. She was bored. She did not yet know anything. My grandfather drank water. Booker ate small portions and made polite conversation about the weather. My mother talked. She talked about Cosima's college applications. She talked about a vacation she was planning for next summer to Italy. She talked about her work and the surgery practice and a new doctor they had hired. I listened. I waited. When she finally paused to take a sip of wine, I set down my fork. "Mom?" "Yes, sweetie?" "I want to ask you something." "Of course. What is it?" "Why did you take out a Capital One credit card in my name when I was 8 years old?" The room went silent. My mother set down her wine glass slowly. "Excuse me?" I pulled a folder out of the bag I had brought with me. I set it on the table next to my plate. 3 credit cards, opened between 2012 and 2018, when I was between the ages of 8 and 14. A Cadillac Escalade lease in 2017. A personal loan from Michigan First Credit Union for $22,000 in 2019. A second personal loan in 2021 for $12,000. A medical bill from an MRI you received in 2018 that you billed under my insurance. 4 years of fraudulent tax filings claiming benefits you were not entitled to. Total damages, $223,000. My mother stared at me. She did not blink. "Tobias, I don't know what you're talking about, whatever your mom. The federal investigation has been active for 5 months. The Macomb County Financial Crimes Unit has been auditing your records since April. The forensic accountant's report runs 312 pages. Detective Naomi Goldenberg is going to be calling you tomorrow morning at 9. The wine glass in her hand started to tremble. Cosima put down her phone. "Mom?" "Cosima, this is between adults." My father, Daniel, looked up. "Lillian, tell our daughter the truth. Tell her what you did to her brother." My mother turned to my father. She had been counting on him to defend her, even now. "Daniel, sweetheart, I don't know where this is coming from. Lillian, I know. I have known for 3 weeks. I have signed the divorce papers. Booker has them in his briefcase right now." My mother's wine glass hit the table. Some of the wine sloshed onto the white tablecloth. "Daniel, what?" "I want a divorce, Lillian. Effective immediately. I will not be sleeping in this house tonight. I will be at my brother's place until we get the legal process started." "Daniel, please." My grandfather spoke. He had been silent for the entire meal. "Lillian, tell Daniel about Reed Doyle." The blood drained from my mother's face. "Dad, no. Tell Daniel about Reed Doyle, Lillian, or I will." "Dad, please, not in front of—" "Daniel already knows, Lillian. He has known for 3 weeks. He came to my house. He sat at my kitchen table. He cried. He said he had suspected something was wrong for years, but he had never been able to put a name to it. So I gave him the name. I gave him the DNA test. I gave him everything. My mother started shaking. She looked at my father. She looked at me. She looked at her father. She had nothing. For the first time in 21 years, she had nothing. Tobias, Mom, don't. Tobias, I love you. I always have. Mom, you took out credit cards in my name when I was 8. You took my car. You sent me to public school while you sent Cosima to private school using my social security number to claim education tax credits I never received. You have done all of this while telling everyone what a difficult son I was. You have spent 21 years punishing me for being alive. And the reason, the actual biological reason, is sitting in a folder my grandfather has had for 11 years. I stood up. Booker stood up too. He walked around the table to my mother. He set a thick envelope in front of her. Mrs. Bramwell Heller, you have been served. There are 4 legal actions: a federal identity theft case, a civil suit for damages totaling $223,000 plus punitive damages, a divorce petition filed by your husband Daniel Heller as of this morning, and a restraining order limiting your contact with your son, Tobias Bramwell, pending the criminal case resolution. My mother stared at the envelope. She did not open it. Cosima was crying now. She had figured out enough to know that her world was ending. My mother turned to her daughter. Cosima, honey, this is just a misunderstanding. Cosima looked at her mother. She looked at me. She looked at her father. For the first time in 17 years, my sister saw her family clearly. Mom, did you really do this? Cosima, sweetheart, there are 2 sides to every... Mom, did you steal from Tobias? Yes or no? My mother did not answer. That was the answer. I picked up my folder. I walked out of the dining room. My grandfather followed. Booker followed. My father stayed. He went to my sister. I heard him say as I reached the front door, Cosima, come here. We need to talk. Cosima ran to him. He held her. I closed the front door behind me. I stood on the front porch in the September evening light. My grandfather stood next to me. He did not say anything. After a while, he put his hand on my shoulder. Buddy, are you okay? I thought about it. Quiet. He nodded. That's about right. The legal proceedings took 9 months. My mother was charged with 11 counts of identity theft, 3 counts of bank fraud, 1 count of mail fraud, 2 counts of tax fraud, and 1 count of insurance fraud. She took a plea deal in February 2026. 3 years in state prison, 4 years probation, and permanent prohibition from any employment in finance or healthcare administration. The civil case was resolved in March 2026. I recovered the full $223,000 plus $90,000 in punitive damages. My mother's assets, what was left of them after the divorce, were liquidated to pay this. She came out of the settlement with roughly $4,000 to her name. The divorce was finalized in February 2026. My father got the house. My mother got the apartment in a building on the other side of Sterling Heights. The settlement reflected her financial fraud and was very unfavorable to her. My credit was restored in stages over the following year as Booker walked me through the formal dispute process for each fraudulent account. By summer 2026, my FICO score was 781. It is now spring of 2026. I am 22 years old. I still work at the metal shop. I have been promoted to lead fabricator. I make $86,000 a year now. I am saving to buy a house. I still drive the BMW Cosima, and I are not best friends. But we talk. She is in therapy. She has stopped using social media. She lives with our father. She visits our mother in prison once a month, which is more than I do. I have visited my mother twice, both times because Booker and the counselor said it would be good for my own healing. It was. I do not need to visit her again. My father, Daniel, and I go fishing every other weekend. He is the man who raised me. He is my dad. That has not changed. That will not change. Reed Doyle and I have a quieter relationship. We meet for coffee once a month. He is 52 now. We talk about welding, about Detroit Lions football, about his work as a project. Manager, he has not pushed for more than I am ready for. He has been patient. We are figuring out slowly what kind of relationship we are going to have. My grandfather Gus is 75. He sold his Ford F-150 last fall because his eyesight was getting bad. I drive him to his doctor appointments. We sit at his kitchen table and drink coffee and watch the neighborhood birds. Sometimes, when I'm alone in my apartment, I think about that birthday dinner. I think about the taxi ride. I think about the missing BMW. I think about my grandfather's quiet question. "Buddy, why did you come by taxi?" I think about my mother's smile, the way she had said he didn't deserve it. She had been telling herself that I did not deserve things since I was 8 years old. She had been telling herself that for 21 years because the alternative was confessing what she had actually done. She had not just taken a car from me. She had taken a name from me, a father from me, a childhood from me, $223,000 from me, and she had done all of it while smiling at family dinners. So let me ask you something. If you found out the parent who treated you the worst your entire life was hiding something even bigger, would you confront them immediately, or would you wait 6 months, build the case, and end it cleanly in front of the people who needed to see it? Some battles you fight by speaking. Some battles you win by saying nothing at all until the moment is right. If you have ever been the unfavored child, if you have ever felt your parent looking at you like you were a problem instead of a person, drop one word in the comments below. Just one. Tell me what they made you feel like you were. I read every single comment. If this story moved you, hit the like button. Share it with someone who has been carrying weight no one in their family ever asked about. Subscribe. Turn on notifications. I will see you in the next one.